Hi, I'm Debbie Bowie, helping you win the war against paper. Today I want to talk to you about the importance of creating paper paths. I remember when I became aware of the importance of paper paths. I was working with a client in his office, and I asked him, how does the paper get here? By what route? And he looked at me with this blank stare and said, well, sometimes my wife brings the mail in and drops it on the kitchen counter. Other times my daughter brings it in and it lands on my desk. Clearly, there was no specific process for getting paper into the house and processed. And I thought to myself, well, what do I do? Because I'd been doing my own paper forever, and I was unconscious of my process. And what I realized that I did, and it's a technique that may help you with your paper, is that I had unconsciously created paper paths. The mail came in from the mailbox and landed on my kitchen counter. That evening, I would sort the mail right there, getting rid of recycling. And then I would move the piles of paper that I'd sorted to specific locations. Some would go to my husband, to his mail processing area. Some would go to where I read. And the bulk of it would go to my home office to be dealt with there. I had unconsciously created paper paths, and my paper always follows that route. The norm that I see in many homes is that sometimes it's numerous people bringing the paper. It lands anywhere from right inside the door to the kitchen counter to sometimes in the bathroom or even the bedroom. No specific plan for where it should go. And then things get chaotic with paper. So what I recommend that you do is you figure out, if you live with somebody else, figure out who's the best person to be in charge of the paper, to make sure that it follows a path. And then create a paper path. If you're all alone, you do that for yourself, and then you practice moving paper deliberately from the mailbox to a specific location to be processed, and then disperse it from there in a very deliberate fashion. If you don't use paper paths, you'll be creating a paper nightmare, which takes much longer to get out of than it takes to be very deliberate about where your paper goes. So create paper paths. In our next session, I'm going to talk to you about processing paper daily, which means sorting your paper into categories and moving it along. I wish you well in creating your own paper paths.